Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel. I pray and I hope these videos are a blessing unto you. Look, in this video, I want to talk about greed. What greed really is and what it isn't. Now, what is a need? A need is a lack, is a deficit of a necessity. Okay, let me phrase that. You need water. You need food for your body to remain operative. Those are needs. If they aren't there, there's a deficit. Alright? So whenever there's a need, there's a deficit. There's something that needs to be filled. You also have mental needs, emotional needs. So a need is a natural thing. Okay? Then you also have mechanical needs, which are not natural needs, but those are practical needs. For example, let's say that you have a car or a vehicle in general. The vehicle needs to be empowered in order for it to operate, whether through gasoline or through oil. That is a mechanical need, because without the gasoline or without the oil, without the fuel, you have a mechanical deficit. You get what I'm saying here? So a machine can only have a need, not inherently in itself, because it's just a machine, it's not a real being, but a machine can have a need. Understand that. I want that to sink inside of you. Human beings have real needs. But here's the trap. Through social conditioning, you can be conditioned into giving into artificial needs. Those are needs that aren't real, that don't serve a real purpose, that's beneficial for you on the long term, but those are needs that nevertheless you have been conditioned into. And if those needs are not fulfilled, your mind goes nuts. Why does your mind go nuts? Because you have been conditioned and trained in such a way. And those artificial needs often serve as a substitute for the real needs you have. For example, this is a common example. A young woman that grew up in an oppressive household, maybe sexual promiscuous. She goes from guy to guy. But here's the thing. She wants emotional safety. And she learned that by giving in to people's expectations, she gets this rush. That's similar to emotional safety, but it's not emotional safety itself. But over time, this was the best she knew, so she began to crave it. And indeed, her mind became centered on craving after this relief. And that's why when she is not laying with the guy, she becomes anxious. Her mind becomes disturbed. Why? Because her mind is now feeding off of that relief that she gets from men. So that need for men is not a real need, it's an artificial need. And it is in the place of the real need, which is emotional safety. So I hope you understand how it is with needs now, okay? I'm not a native English speaker, so I take my time to rephrase what I'm saying, because I understand that the way I explain things may be different than how the common English speaker expresses it. Now, okay, you know now how it is with needs. If I need to make another video about it, I'll do it. What is greed? When an artificial need can never naturally replace the natural need. But when someone's soul, the soul is that part of you, the spirit being that contains the mind and the emotional center. When the soul has become perverted, the soul can mistake the artificial need for the real need. And what happens here? If this artificial need is being gratified in the long term, not in the long term, if this artificial need is gratified over and over again, the soul and the body builds a pattern around it. So now it's not a need anymore, it's greed. Because the body and the soul depend upon the gratification of that artificial need in order for it to operate. Look, if you have someone that's a drug addict, that drugs is a substitute. So they just have an artificial need. But that drugs doesn't have to be an expression of, let me say, their drug addiction is not an expression of greed in itself. It's just a need out of control. Because they themselves will realize that they need to get rid of that thing. They know it's wrong, but they can't stop. That's why they need deliverance. But if you have someone, for example, you have a dude who needs to make a certain amount of money, and he is so attached to money, now that's greed. Because the money is just a piece of paper or some numbers on a screen. If it's a real drug, like cocaine or whatever, it's still a natural substance, but it's a natural substance that's being misused. But if you use it in the right way, there's a benefit in it. And even people that use cocaine or heroin, there's a short-term benefit. But money in itself, which is a fictive thing that's expressed on paper or on computer screens, it has no natural potential in it. People that are needy and their need has gone out of control, like when they are addicted, they at least still have that natural alarm in them that notifies them that this isn't right, or they can see that it's still a natural thing they're involved with. But people that are greedy, their mindset has turned demonic. They are totally into that fiction, and that fiction, according to their mind, is reality. And because money is powered by society, and because it's used by demons, they can't easily see that they are trapped in a fiction, and that's why it's so dangerous. So a need, it's just a need. It's a deficit that needs to be filled. You have mechanical needs that has to do with machines, or for example, you need to go to your work and you work 10 kilometers away. So now there's a mechanical need for you to have transportation. So you know what mechanical needs are. Then you have artificial needs, which are distractions that will trap you in addictions. And then you have greed, which has nothing to do with needs, but it's just a demonic mindset that demons use to feed themselves. And the individual that's greedy often is not aware that it's demons using them. But they themselves are also feeding off of the illusion. And here's another thing, there's nothing wrong with an illusion. People often think that illusions are wrong, illusions are bad. No, illusions can be used to motivate people. Illusions can have a beneficial purpose. But way too often, people hold on to illusions. And when you hold on to illusions too tight, it's then that you become greedy. It's then that your soul is deformed on the inside. And the deformation of the soul will work out in how your brain is wiring itself. Because your brain rewires itself all the time, based upon what you experience. So, greed is really, how do I say it? Greed is the perversion of the mind, and this works out in the perversion of the body. And demons use this perversion. And greed doesn't only have to relate to money. Okay, this is another mistake people make. Money, or let me say currency that has its practical use, that's what we call money, is a material expression of self-validation. That's all it is. But it's just a physical manifestation. It's just a physical expression. It's not the thing itself. Another form of greed is you have parents that beat their children because they want to be relieved. They want to be treated a certain way by their kids. And they don't care whether expectations are correct or not, or how it affects a child. They just want to be respected because they need to show respect also when they were young. They can't even explain what respect is, but they will it. And because they will it, the child just have to take it. Because they are more powerful, they can do something to the child. That's greed. Straight up. But people are conditioned to think that that's the right thing. So greed isn't just a longing for money, even though when it comes to money, it's obvious. Look, someone that's needy and is so desperate to get money to accomplish a purpose, they may appear greedy, but they're not greedy. They're just misled. So understand the difference between a need out of control and greed. Okay? Well, if I need to make more videos, just let me know. And now you understand. And I'm going to close with this. Now you understand why a lot of those rich people resent the poor. Why? Because they don't want to face the truth. They don't want to face their own greediness. They don't want to face their own negativity. Because greed is negative. And then you have the poor out there who remind them of their rejection of their natural human obligations. And they hate that the poor remind them of that. So that's why they act out against the poor. They blame the poor, even though they are the ones that keep the system in place. They even begin to, how do I say, they begin to demonize the poor, as if the poor are out there to get them, even though the poor most of the time are only concerned with surviving every day. And that's the trap of worldly riches. Because worldly riches often causes people to lose perspective. And when you lose perspective, it's easy for greed to grow inside of you without you being aware of it. People often talk against poverty. That's the right thing to do. Poverty is bad. But seldom do people talk about the dangers of worldly riches. There's nothing wrong with abundance, okay? But to have worldly riches, there's a danger in it. Look, even if worldly riches don't affect you directly, it will affect how people relate to you. For example, if you now, let's say your name is Sarah, you're from Finland, and tomorrow you get 3 million euros on your bank account. You used to be from a lower middle class, from divorced parents, but now you are a millionaire. What do you think is going to happen? Even if the money doesn't affect you, because you realize it's just numbers on a screen, and you use it in you use accordingly to that, the people around you who are the relief seekers, they can't sleep at night because you have 3 million euros. You can do stuff, you can will stuff that they can't resist. So what's happening now? They are now seeing you as a threat, and they're either going to run away from you or they're being attracted to you to attack you. And that attack can either be that they try to rob you or they try to usurp you by bleeding you. Let me say, as parasites, they suck the energy out of you and bleed you. So you have those riches, but there are consequences that you haven't foreseen. So even if those riches don't affect you, that even if the greed does not develop inside of you because you're delivered, it can still affect you by how people relate to you. So yes, I talk about biblical abundance. Biblical abundance. I'm not talking about the prosperity gospel. Please get that trash out of your head. Flush it through the toilet, that prosperity gospel crap, okay? Because worldly riches, well, for most people, it's dangerous, including believers. So, okay, I should have closed this video already, but I'm going to say this. If you are a believer, I'm talking to believers now, I'm not talking to worldly people. If you are a believer, and you've been praying and praying for financial supplies, or some project you wanted to do, and the supply doesn't come, listen, you don't need that supply. You don't see what's coming with that supply. Okay, maybe you wanted to start a project, and that project would generate jobs for people, and the poor may benefit, okay? So that's how you seek to meet the needs of the poor. And that's in line with the New Testament, that's correct. But the Holy Spirit sees that some of those poor people are negative-minded, and that they will turn against you, and that 5 years from now, they may try to assassinate you. Or that they will use the wealth that you transfer onto them to do harm to others. So without you being aware of it, you are financing negativity. You don't see everything. So if the supply doesn't come, fear not. You don't need it. You are above it. Keep on going. And as a believer, you operate in the supernatural. So if things don't work out in the natural, hey, you are supernatural. So maybe things don't work out this way, which is common, it will work out another way. Just keep trusting God, okay? That being said, be at peace.